Hello friends, it's Robin. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a recommendations video all surrounding different family groups that I absolutely loved. The idea of this video was originally to do a found family recommendations, but as I was creating the list, I realized that there were so many other types of families that I absolutely love. So I just decided to switch this to my favorite fictional families. These are families of all different kinds. So there are adopted families, there are biological families, there are found families, there are all of the things. So let's get right into the recommendations. So first up is the book that inspired this entire thing, and that is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Singhu Mandana. It has been a minute since I have gushed about this book, so I am back to do it again. This is one of my favorite found family romances. This is following our heroine, Mika, who is a witch, and witches are kind of expected to live very solitary lives because if too many witches are in one place for too long, magic starts to consolidate there and bad things can happen. And so our heroine has kind of always been alone. Right at the beginning of the book, she receives a letter from someone who asks her to come to Nowhere House and teach these three orphaned witches magic. And so our heroine decides to go to this house, and there she ends up finding her place in the world, finding a family. There are these three witches who are just coming into their powers and they have no idea how to control their magic, and so she is teaching them how magic works and how to control it, all while falling in love with a grumpy librarian and kind of falling in love not only romantically but platonically with all of the people that live at Nowhere House. And it is such a fantastic found family. It has a great romance, it has great explorations of different kinds of love and relationships, and I cannot gush enough about this book. The next books that I'm going to talk about is actually the reason why this kind of expanded, was because I haven't talked about this series in a second, and I needed to talk about it again. And that is the Necessary Evils series. This is a series all surrounding 7 adopted brothers slash maybe 6, and this is all of their romances. So Thomas Mulvaney adopted these 7 children who were all showing signs of psychopathy and kind of taught them how to harness those emotions or lack thereof to take out bad people. It is all of their romances. The series is heavy, so I'm gonna put it down and just hold up the first book. It is one of my favorite families. The family has grown significantly from this book to this book. There are all kinds of side characters now, so there are some aspects of found family in here, as well as an adopted family, as well as biological families. And this really explores all the different ways that you can have family and be a family. And I love these romances. I love how this series is just so unapologetically brutal at times, and they are always taking out bad people. It's really satisfying to watch these characters take out and get revenge against evil men. And I love all these romances. I love these characters to death. And I've given every single book in the series 5 stars. And the final book, which is Thomas's romance, is coming out in January. So if you have not given the series a read yet, now is the time, because it is a very nearly completed series. After that is the one that I don't have physically, and that is the Bergman Brothers series. This is another family that I absolutely adore. They're one of my favorite fictional families of all time. I love the Bergmans. If there was one family that I could hang out with for the holidays, it would be the Bergmans. So I'm completely caught up on the series. I think there's one book left in the series, if I'm remembering correctly. I've given every book in the series either 4 or 5 stars, and I love this family. This series has amazing representation in it. It has chronic illness and disability rep. It has neurodiversity rep. It has mental health rep. It has all of the things. Like I said, I adore this family. I adore these romances. All of them are super sweet and swoony and absolutely wonderful. And so I needed to recommend this series too, since it is probably my favorite fictional family of all time. I know Chloe Lisa has talked about continuing on with this series after it finishes and doing like a second generation, which I really hope she decides to do, because this family is just so, so fantastic. Next is a series that I talk about all the time about how much I love this family, and that is the Stay a Spell series. If you watched my last recent reads, you will have heard me talk about how much I adore this family. This series is following a family of witches, and each of the heroines, it gets their own romance. We are also just about done with this series. There is only one book left. The fifth book just came out, and I believe book 6 is coming out next year, which I am ridiculously excited for. But all of the sisters in here have an affinity towards different abilities, and each of them is falling in love with a different paranormal creature. This world has witches, vampires, werewolves, and grims. And throughout the series, you are learning about all of the different paranormal beings and what their abilities are, and it's so fantastic. I love the sisters so much. Their relationships are so amazing. They are strained at times, but they all love each other so fiercely, and they all have each other's backs no matter what. And I love this family so much. I love all of their romances. This is another series that I'm excited to get the last book, but also I'm not ready to leave this world behind. Next is You and Me by Tel Bauer, and this is another all-time favorite found family romance. And this is an romance that is following these two single fathers, and both of them have been in previous relationships, and they both have teenage sons who are playing on the same football team, and they end up coming together because their sons are best friends, and they both start working for like the football parents organization, helping out the teams. And one of our heroes has been part of this for a really long time, and the other one is trying to repair his relationship with his son after losing his wife. It is the two of them coming together and building this absolutely amazing family and support system. And this book made me sob uncontrollably. The way that their two sons, like their friendship, is just beautiful. I love the two sons. I love the two fathers. I love how they all come together at the end and form this family unit that is just so supportive and there for each other. This is another one that I talked about endlessly after I read it, and I haven't talked about it in a little while. And I'm here to remind you to read this amazing story. It is so beautifully written. I adore Tel Bauer, and this is one of my favorite books of all time. Next is Wolfsong by TJ Klune. This is another one that has a bunch of different family experiences in here. This has blood relatives as well as found family as well as romantic relationships. This series is following this family of werewolves. Our hero Ox is meeting this family for the first time, and he has kind of always struggled through his childhood. He feels very isolated and alone. And when this family moves in, he suddenly has this familial relationship with them. It is a really, really slow burn age gap romance, paranormal romance. And I love this book so much. Not only is this romance absolutely epic, but the family in here is also fantastic. The family that moves in, like the family of shifters, they are super tight knit. There are a lot of brothers, and they have, not only are they family, but they are pack as well. And as this book goes, as the series goes, their pack is growing. And I love that. I love when books incorporate not just romantic relationships, but other types of relationships. And this book encapsulates that absolutely perfectly. Switching it up to some historicals, I really love the Veronica Bastards series by Sarah McLean. This is following these three half-siblings who all have the same father, and they kind of have this very interesting relationship. So they all have the same father, and their father he's not a great guy. They were all kind of pitted against each other as children, and they ended up making their escape in their teens, and now they are this very tight-knit group, and throughout the series each one of them gets their romance. I really love this particular family because not only are they all half siblings, but they also end up forming their own found family in the Bare Knuckle Bastards. And so this, like I said, has that same mix of blood family, or in this case half-blood family, as well as found family. And I really, really loved it. I loved how their strained relationship with their father really drives these three together, and the strain that comes with their relationship to their father. And it's very, very well done. I absolutely loved this series. And to this day, this is my favorite Sarah McLean series. So if you are looking to give Sarah McLean a try, I highly recommend this one. Next is the Guild Hunter series by Nalini Singh. And this is another one with a really epic found family. This is, I will say, a very long series. We are at book 15 currently. And this is an urban fantasy paranormal epic romance series following our heroine Elena, who is a guild hunter. And guild hunters are humans who kind of have these exceptional abilities. They're a little faster, a little stronger, all of those types of things. And they are employed to keep the vampires in line. And the vampires work for the archangels as well as the angels. And archangels kind of rule the world. There are 10 of them, and each one of them has a territory that they rule over, and our heroine ends up falling in love with an archangel in book 1, and the series kind of takes off from there. This has a lot of characters. It has a lot of different plots in it, but throughout the majority of the series, we are following the cadre, who are all the closest confidants of the Archangel, and it is just such a good relationship. Like I've reiterated over and over again, I love books that mix different types of relationships, and this one does that so fantastically. The way that all of these characters love each other in different ways is just so perfectly encapsulated throughout the series. You really watch all of these different relationships grow, especially as the series goes on, because you do get books from those other side characters, and so you learn about how they became to be employed with Raphael, and how they all came together, and how they all intertwine and get along, and all of the things. And it is so well done. I love the series. It's another one that if you haven't given it a try, I highly recommend. They are all on audio, and the audiobooks are absolutely amazing. So definitely one that I recommend. And then one final historical is the Ravenel series by Lisa Claypus. This is a classic, and this is another like pretty long series. I think there's like 6 or 7 books in the series. I can't entirely remember, but this is following the Ravenel family. Book 1 follows Devin, who ends up inheriting an earldom, and it was a position that he never thought that he was going to inhabit. And it kicks off this whole chain of events where he ends up having to go to this house and be reunited with the Ravenels, and he ends up having to help take care of all of the Ravenels. And it is all of their romances from there on out. This family is really quirky and different and out there. The Ravenels have kind of spent their lives, like each of the kids has spent their lives, like being able to do their own thing. Like no one ever really reined them in. So each of them is kind of quirky and out there and different. And I loved following all of them. This is another one that just has this really tight-knit family group that is willing to do anything for each other, and I loved how different each of these books was and how different each of the romances were, and I really loved this series. And then the final recommendation is another one that mixes biological and found family, and that is the Fortuna Swarten series. I, again, am not going to hold all these up because they are heavy, and we're just going to hold up book 1, but this entire series actually follows our heroine. That's not book 1. This is book 1. So this series, it kicks off with our heroine Fortuna, who is desperately trying to find and save her brother. And so this entire series kicks off with a familial relationship, from there, their family really grows. So by the time that you get to book, oh my God, why are these all out of order? By the time that you get to book 4, the family is a huge mix of biological and found family. And I just, again, I really love that exploration. So all of these people end up having to come together. Some of them are paranormal, some of them are human, and they all have to come together for different reasons and try and help take out some evil things. I can't really talk about it into detail because the plot from this book to this book has drastically changed. There's a lot of found family in here. There is a lot of romantic relationships in here, and I love watching Fortuna love all of these people. She is in a love triangle as well as loving her friends and trying to maintain those relationships as well as her relationship with her brother. There's so many good relationships in here, and I absolutely love it. I am so excited for the next book in the series coming next year. So that is it for my favorite fictional families. Those are just 10 of my favorite. There are obviously more, but when I started ranking my list, these were the top 10 in no particular order. These weren't ranked or anything like that. But let me know if you have read any of these series. Let me know what your favorite fictional family is, and I will catch y'all in my next video. Bye!